You saw it there. It's the College Football Show presented by AT&T and 5G. And to set the tempo of this here show, Shi Smith of South Cackalack going up and over the Auburn defender, snagging this bad boy. We will see plenty more from this game and specifically this receiver later on in the show. Go up and get it, young fella.
Ain't nothing shy about that. See what I did?
There it is. You should have kept that one in the holster. That's one you saved.
Oh, man.
Jason Fitz joining me here on the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. We are multi-pronged in our approach and our responsibilities. The approach, ESPN app, YouTube Live, Twitter, Facebook Live, and our responsibilities, getting you caught up on all things that have happened, everything that's going down currently, and everything that will go down in Week 7 of college football. So, Jason Fitz, again, keep that one in the holster in case they missed it. But,
Okay.
You know, how you feel?
Well, if anybody watched Countdown to Game Day this morning, I butchered all of my picks. So let me just start by eating crow. I got them all wrong. I am 0 for everything today. It was a good day at 8 a.m. It is not a good day at 7 p.m. Trevor Scales, are we ready? Can we just get that?
Let's go to it.
My bad. Let's talk some football. We start with, you thought my picks were bad. This game was even worse. Clemson, Georgia Tech. It's sort of a game. I don't know. First quarter, Trevor Lawrence, 83-yard tutty. Just to Amari Rodgers. Clemson up 14-7. It was close right here.
You know who wasn't close? Any of the defenders. There was nobody at the screen.
It's 2020 in college football. Defense is optional the entire way. First quarter, Trevor Lawrence throws it downfield. Pass intended for wide receiver Cornette Powell, but gets intercepted. That's significant because that's his first interception this season. And Georgia Tech made just a big mistake here because, well, they celebrated. And, I get it. Maybe you want to celebrate, but Trevor Lawrence, all you did was wake him up. So you got second quarter. Again, Amari Rodgers, 35 yards for a first down. This is a beautiful catch and run, and it's important. Look at this.
Go up.
You will not put me down, son. Then we get to this from the 1-yard line. Fat guy touchdown. Niles Pinckney.
Well, he's still wearing 44, so he's not like a full fat guy. You know what I mean?
Look at those pants, though. Like, he got that fat guy booty. I'm just saying. All right, second quarter, Georgia Tech ball. Jeff Sims gets picked off by Clemson safety Nolan Turner. Runs it 31 yards to the Georgia Tech 7, which is obviously a great play. And then, here we go. Travis at the end says, you know what? I want some fun, too. I like to score big points. Puts them up 45-7. Now, this is not a typo. We're talking 45-7 in the first half. Trevor Lawrence again to Amari Rodgers here. 16 yards and a touchdown. Clemson up 52-7. They win 73-7. That would be the largest win in ACC history for them.
Honestly, why are we even doing this anymore? Auburn taking on South Carolina. Bo Nix and the Tigers in the first quarter going up 9-0 after a 2-point conversion was no good from the Bo Nix to Eli Stove pass. Early second quarter, he's out under pressure here, rolling to his left, and
Bad Bo.
Yes, J.C. Horn steps right in front of it. I'm not entirely sure what the noise Fitz made.
Bad Bo.
Bad Bo, yes. Okay, ensuing South Carolina possession. Colin Hill to Kevin Harris. We're all Gamecocks down by 2 after that. Early third quarter now. Bo Nix looking deep, nearly picked off pass, broken up by, once again, J.C. Horn. Nix trying to talk it out with his guys on the sideline, but Seth Williams ain't really trying to hear all that. Middle of the third quarter, South Carolina driving, and look at that, Colin Hill to Shi Smith, 10-yard score. We'll see more of that later. They were within 1. Late third quarter now. Bo Nix looking and finding a dude on the opposite team.
Bad Bo.
Guess who? J.C. Horn. 34-yard return down to the Auburn 8, and on the very next play, Kevin Harris, left side to the crib, and South Carolina takes the lead. Holds on to the lead, rather. Late fourth quarter, last chance for Bo Nix and the Auburn Tigers on 4th and 5. Time running out. You should have tried to get the ball away, but no. Flag was on Auburn. Time gets run out, and daggone. South Carolina gets their first win over Auburn in their existence in the SEC.
Bad Bo. One of the games I got wrong. Let's go to Kentucky versus Tennessee. Another game I got wrong. I said they'd clean up the turnovers. They didn't. Garantano started early. Kelvin Joseph returns it for a 41-yard touchdown. Kentucky up. But, we got another one. Tennessee's next possession. Jared says, wait, You get a 6. You get a 6. Everybody gets pick sixes all the way around. I don't know what he was looking for. He forgot that his team was in the bright orange jerseys, apparently. 14-0 at that point. Obviously, everybody's trying to calm him down. Don't worry, it'll be okay, big fella. Well, it wasn't. Second quarter, Tennessee's back up. JT Shrout comes in, enters the game. Guess what?
Oh, no.
You guessed it. That's a pick. Tennessee's quarterback, just a reminder, they're the ones in the orange. I'm just saying. Third quarter, Terry Wilson. This was a nice little pass. Gets a little touchdown pass here. Puts Kentucky up 24-7. Guess what? Tennessee's 27-point loss marks its largest margin of defeat to an unranked team when they were ranked ever.
We'll shift over to the ACC. Miami looking to bounce back from a loss to Clemson last week, and this week they got that offense going. Derek King to Cameron Harris for a 35-yard score. Canes up 7-0. Second quarter action, Derek King once again, this time following Will Mallory.
That boy good.
Yeah, not bad. Big fella gets him up 14-0. Third quarter action now, Derek King to Mike Harley. He does the rest there, and then later in the here's the third quarter action. Woo! Mike Harley all by himself down the left sideline. Quick little move. Spin move against the grain to get in there. Miami up and rolling 21-9 here. About 9:30 and change left. Derek King looking for Mike Harley. Intercepted by Marquise Williams. Williams down to the Miami 1. And on the very next play, they would cash in Pittsburgh. Daniel Moraga. Miami holding on to a 5-point lead at that point. Third quarter action. Little fake draw. Woo! Pop pass to the tight end. Wide open down the middle. 31-19 your final. Derek King with a big day. 4 touchdowns, 2 picks in their win over the Panthers. Texas A&M taking on Mississippi State. Kellen Mond handing it off to Isaiah Spiller. Right side, couple moves. He finds a sideline night, much more than a first down for the Aggies there. And then later on in the game, second quarter action, Isaiah Spiller this time cashing in to put the Aggies up 7-0. Then later on in the second, blocked punt for Mississippi State. Not a whole lot going right for them. And then Isaiah Spiller, just a few seconds later, cashes in. 14-0 the score at that point at the half. They're now leading 28-14 in the fourth frame.
We'll get you some more updates out of that game, obviously, as they continue to come in. And this was the tight one of the day. It was almost the shocker of the day. Notre Dame holds on to beat Louisville 12-7. We would show you a highlight, but it was a grotesque game. So Ian Book had a day to forget. 11 out of 19, 107. You see it there with the rushing touchdown. It was all in all sloppy football for the Irish, who I expected Trevor to come in and dominate and sort of assert their dominance into the top 5. That did not happen, but they get the win.
You're right. They got the win, and one thing that was encouraging about Notre Dame's performance today was the run game. We're looking at 232 yards gained on the ground in just 49 attempts. So we're averaging nearly 5 yards a clip for the offensive assault for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. We do have questions as far as whether or not they can create the explosive plays, and that's what sort of separates you from a lot of the crop when it comes to kind of getting into that upper echelon of teams in college football.
It's the College Football Show. He's Trevor Scales. I'm Jason Fitz, and let's do what we like to do, have a little bit of fun with Trevor's name. Trev's takeaways.
Yes.
So let's take a look at some of these. What are your takeaways?
I think for this, yes, as I was just touching on, right? Like, we need to see more from the explosive play department from the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, right? We expect Ian Book, a guy that's been there a couple years now, to have a command over that offense, but there's still a sense of uneasiness whenever he's in the pocket and under duress, right? Like, I think there's a calmness that needs to sort of take over, a poise that you're looking for from a veteran quarterback that we just have not seen yet from him in command of that offense.
Well, and let me be clear, any expectation that I hold Notre Dame to is an expectation that Notre Dame has for itself, but also their fans have. And, one thing that was made clear is that by joining the ACC, their strength of schedule was getting easier this year. These are the sorts of games that I expected Notre Dame to come in and really just whoop. Like, there's an opportunity right now when we don't have the Big Ten playing yet, and we don't have the Pac-12 playing yet, for the ACC to get a real sense of momentum, for Notre Dame to say, hey, we belong in the same conversation as some of the elite teams in the country. That's just not the case. I mean, it was an ugly game, and all the way down to 3-4 minutes left, I wasn't sure that Notre Dame wasn't going to find a way to sort of screw this one up. They get the win,
yes.
And sometimes you get an ugly win. But, man, when you're watching Clemson beat somebody 73-7 where it all looks easy, and now you're looking at Notre Dame struggle, it's a reminder of the difference, the gap between the haves and the have-nots in the ACC.
That is correct, especially with that mutual opponent that we have to look at between these two. So, in essence, right, like Notre Dame gets that win, 20-something consecutive win at home, which is great for the Fighting Irish program at large. But when it comes to this team in the micro and what they can do from this season's standpoint, it's just a very clear difference from what they are in this ACC conference, ACC, than Clemson. Like, there's just a massive gap.
Let's peel behind the curtain. I love to give something like the behind-the-scenes look at our show sometimes. We've got one of the guys that works on our show that does great work every single week for us, Tyler, is a massive Notre Dame fan.
Yes.
And when we started the season in the conference room, we're all watching games together, socially distanced, wearing masks with TVs up. We're all watching the games. And Tyler started the season by saying, you know what, it's national championship or bust when you're a Notre Dame fan. Like, if you're not winning the Natty, it doesn't matter. Today, he's like, you know what, I feel pretty good about everything because we all realize Clemson's much better. Like,
world's better.
The conversation has changed drastically around Notre Dame, even though they're undefeated, because the fact is, and I'm going to use the two words that I hate, but every college football fan needs to get used to it, the eye test. If you're just judging by the eye test, Notre Dame doesn't look very good.
It is the ultimate subjective season. All of this is going to be contingent upon, like, we don't have the common opponent luxury to sort of compare apples to apples with.
You've just changed my mind. I've said that this would be the worst year ever to be on the college football playoff committee. No, it's the best. Because you could just come out and be like, because I said so.
Correct.
Yeah, because I said. And nobody can do anything
How are you
about
going to refute that? How exactly are you going to refute that? Another takeaway that I had, speaking of subjective versus objective, we don't know what to make of Mississippi State's offense. And I don't want to say that we are essentially hitting a point where they're completely sputtering out, but we started out with a 623 yards passing performance against LSU. We understand that LSU has had quite a significant drop-off in talent, right? But like 623 yards is still nothing to sneeze at, right? So we have to actually sort of get a barometer on whether or not this Mississippi State, after having two performances, their last two games going for a total of roughly 500 yards after a 600 and change yard performance, in 6 quarters, they couldn't muster up an offensive touchdown. They just got on the board for an offensive touchdown in the third quarter of their game today. So are we looking at something where we're not going to be able to assess Mike Leach in this league the way that we initially thought?
Well, and that's a really good question. And I'm going to go back to a tweet. I want to make sure I don't misspeak on it. Adam Rittenberg from ESPN tweeted earlier, Mike Leach told ESPN's Don Davenport that Hill State starting running back Kylan Hill is not even at the stadium today. Quote, he won't be dressed out. He won't be on the sideline. No other details. Now, if you go down the rabbit hole, there's multiple reports of an incident in the locker room, whatever. We don't know, but we know that they were without an important weapon in a game that they need all the help they can get. But you're right that that's a stunning difference. I'll go back to some of the experts, some of the people that we talked to right away when we were all reacting to Mike Leach saying, oh, my God, can this offense win in the SEC? And everybody kept saying, nope, this was a fluke. And in the time, you're thinking, no, it's just the voice of the fans, like disrespect. But now you're like, oh, no, yeah.
Might have I should second guess myself. But that's game is a game when it comes to that. And you look at this offense as far as even the quarterback position. KJ Costello comes in today, doesn't do necessarily well. Again, we talked about with Ian Book just not looking necessarily poised in the pocket. Like, dude just looked rattled when it came to being under pressure. So when that sort of starts to unfold and Mike Leach is having to make a switch in the game to his backup guy, like, this is very apparent of an offense that really needs a jolt of some sort.
These are a lot of takeaways, and I know we have a lot to get into,
yes.
Trev, but I do want to make sure we didn't mention it at the top of the show. We should mention now. Florida head coach Dan Mullen has tested positive, according to multiple reports, for COVID-19. So while we're talking about the SEC,
yes.
Just a quick note that on a very serious note, Florida, obviously one of several teams not in action today. We'll get into it more, but we want to make sure everybody knows the news that it has been reported. Dan Mullen has tested positive for COVID-19. We'll get more info as we get.
News of a similar accord, right? We knew that Nick Saban had tested positive earlier this week for COVID-19. He has since turned in 3 negative tests within the span of 24 hours each. So 24 hours in between each of those negative results. He will be coaching on the sideline against Georgia. And we have a discussion because your boy's a little nervous.
We're looking forward to playing against maybe the best defensive team in the country.
And it's intercepted, and the Dogs snuff out another Auburn drive.
Alabama offense in general is just very strong, very powerful.
Najee Harris going to the end zone for the 5th time tonight.
It's a college football show. He's Trevor Scales, noted Georgia fan. I'm Jason Fitz. We're going to get into this game, but before we get into any of this game, we want to make sure that we update everybody on all things Nick Saban. As Trevor just alluded to, obviously it's been a heck of a week for Saban, who did test positive for COVID-19 a few days ago. This is what Coach had to say on Wednesday as they were going through their prep process.
We're still doing everything possible to get ready for the Georgia game. Preparing our team. Sark's kind of filling in my absence for anything that needs coordinated in the office. But we're going to do everything we can to help our team, get ready to play. I watched practice today. I had the manager had a phone. If I wanted to play repeated, I said, repeat that play. So-and-so messed up. So, I didn't leave the country or anything. I'm just right down the street. And we have this technology, so it's really unique.
A couple of important notes here, Trev. And, I had the opportunity this week when I was hosting College Football Live to talk to both Tom Rinaldi, who had a great piece on all of this on Game Day today, and also talked a lot to Desmond Howard about sort of the impact on this. One thing to stress, they use Zoom in their practices. So there was Coach yelling loud enough for everybody to hear, run it again, run it again. It was a constant thing. So he was still around them in practice. The other thing is that one thing Des pointed out is that really it's about halftime and about during the game and the voice of the coach. And, you as a former player know that better than most. And you start to think about what impact that has on the game. The fact that we now have Saban in this game tonight is going to be, I think, a huge impact. One other thing, and I want to credit Ross Dellinger from Sports Illustrated. I read the article today, and it is a great article for anyone that doesn't know. This all started, this process of COVID-19 testing and the way they handle it now started from a Texas A&M soccer player that actually had a positive COVID-19 test, didn't trust the results, so she went in and got her own test. And when she got her own test and it came back negative, the entire SEC went through it and said, okay, what does the process need to be? Last Thursday, a week ago, so a little over a week ago, the SEC quietly voted to change the entire process of how players and coaches can be allowed to play because of a women's soccer player at Texas A&M. So for any conspiracy theorist that thinks that Saban got back in the game because he's Saban, let me remind everybody they took a vote on a very specific policy because of a false positive to a soccer player, and that's what they've now deemed that Coach had.
And I understand that, right? Like the process of going through the vote and making sure that they have protocols in place to sort of avoid instances like the Texas A&M soccer player, like even what we've seen from Nick Saban's unfold. But again, when we talk about just the lack of foresight in a lot of different leagues, not exclusive to college football, but just sports in general, trying to rush back in so many different regards to make sure that they get the money, because I understand how vital that is, right? But when we don't even have like those sorts of things to have an understanding that, yes, false positives are a thing. We've seen this in a host of different ways. So why would you not account for this on the forefront? Like, how did this just spring up on you and you weren't necessarily ready for that discussion?
Well, you're 1,000% right. And I'm also not an idiot. Like for in a week where the SEC came out and announced new fine schedules that start at $100,000 and can go up to $1 million for not following the rules, it tells you that there's at least a perception many coaches, many players, many people aren't following the rules. But the rule very specifically for the SEC, for players and coaches, that was voted in, 10 days ago, is a rule that says once you've had a positive COVID-19 test, meaning you have it, you then have 24 hours. Every 24 hours, if you have a negative test, you have to take the bigger, better test, essentially. And as a result, that's how he got back on the field. So you see here the list of notable games that have been affected. 3 top teams not in action. Cincinnati, number 8, Florida, number 10, Oklahoma State, number 7, all not in action today because of COVID-19, Trevor.
Yeah, and this will be a theme throughout the season. I want folks to understand that the reason we update you on this on a weekly basis is because it is very much a factor as to how we will navigate this 2020 college football season. So just understand that things are happening in all times, and there's still a global pandemic. going on. But we pivot to a central part of that discussion in which we began it, right, with Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide taking on Georgia in one of the primetime matchups going down across college football this evening. And
how you feeling?
Not great. Come on now, don't do that to me. We'll get further into it, right? Like I'm not settled. Like I am about as uneasy in this chair as Ian Book was in the pocket, right? Like I'm just not feeling great.
For anyone that doesn't know, Trevor, not only on this show, but Trevor, you also do the wrap-up show.
Yes.
Which is later at night.
Later this evening.
11 p.m. Eastern. That wraps up all the day's actions. I'm just wondering, Georgia wins, your level of professionalism on a scale of 1 to 10 for tonight will be?
Ooh, Georgia wins? Dog, y'all better hope I show up.
Okay.
Just hope I'm on the air.
See, I'm done. Like I did countdown to game day this morning. I'm done after this. I'll be good in D-Runk by the time that happens. So I can't even offer you emotional stuff.
Show up. They better hope. That's just what I got for them. Okay, so when it comes to like my concern and why I'm so uneasy, I love Georgia's defense. They get after any and everybody. But when you're talking about Alabama, we're talking about the wide receiving core depth that they have. We're talking about a defense that can hold its own. Suspect is all outdoors this season, but you still expect them to have the athletes to at least stutter what Georgia has going on offense. And so, like, my key in this matchup and why I'm not necessarily high on my dogs is that I don't know how long the Georgia offense can keep that Georgia defense off the field to kind of re-up on rest and be able to get after Mac Jones and cover those receivers for as long as they have to.
This is my time to remind everybody that I don't have a favorite team, so I don't care who wins. I just like chaos. But in the world of chaos, I need Alabama's defense to play better. I mean, I think, Trevor, if you're looking for, like, we're showing you right now great defense, Georgia has played defense this year. That there is no doubt. Not many teams in the country have played a lot of defense. Georgia has. They've been able to force turnovers. They've been able to really lock down, but they haven't faced a team offensively like Bama. But the problem is the other side of it. Like, I don't trust, at this point, as you see there, can Georgia's defense win the game for the Dogs? I think so, because I'm not sure Alabama's defense can stop anybody right now. And that is, to me, stunning, because I came into the season saying, hey, especially the linebacker core, they were getting a couple of guys back that were supposed to be stars. They had young guys that actually really developed well last year. I felt like the front seven was going to be able to disrupt and the back would be able to catch up. I felt like the defense for Alabama was going to be good. And it has not been not just bad. It's been atrocious, and it has been atrocious in ways we're not used to seeing. Like, it's been fundamentally atrocious.
And look, let's also assess, though, because we're talking about two of the better offenses in the SEC in Texas A&M and Ole Miss, right? Like, I think Lane Kiffin and Jimbo Fisher do have something to say with regards to how well they can kind of put together a scheme. Especially, like, but you're Bama! You're Bama, but, like, Lane Kiffin is out here just trying to ruin your season regardless. And then Jimbo Fisher is here like he's an offensive mind. We give him a lot of credit for scheming up teams. Like, he's good at that. And so I understand the drop-off in its entirety, but I do think there's something to be said for, like, they've had to come up against some really strong offense.
I'm just saying that they almost got beat by Fat Lane. Okay, so then the other side of it is you mentioned that some of the explosive offense. Let's give Alabama a little bit of credit. I mean, this is obviously, for anyone that hasn't seen it, this is according to most efficiency rankings, the number one offense in the country versus the number one defense in the country. And one of the most surprising things, and I'll give Lane credit a little for the transformation for Alabama. Something happened a few years ago. But again, I'll go back to talking to Desmond Howard a couple of days ago, and he was talking about all this wide receiver talent, and I had this sort of epiphany, like, wide receiver U now is Bama. And I can't believe I'm saying that, but my God, like, they just churn wide receivers out every year.
I would just say that, like, Clemson's still going to have something to say. Like, they still kind of crank out 2 or 3 of them each year, right? Like, we've seen Nuke in the league. We done seen Sammy Watkins in the league. Like, they still have something to say, but, like, specifically last year, there was no question that they had 4 top round draft picks in the same receiving room. It was insane.
I mean, and then you start thinking about, some would argue that this year's receiving core is better. Some would argue that this year's receiving core deserves some Heisman candidacy conversation. And I'm looking at it saying, my God, you're talking about better than Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs? Henry Ruggs of my beloved Raiders. I mean, you're talking, that's a level of talent, the level of explosive playmaking for Alabama on the outside. Like, you knew for a generation, if you wanted to play in the NFL, that your best shot could be to go to Alabama. That was one of your best shots, I should say. You never thought that if you were going to be a quarterback or a wide receiver. And now you're looking at it saying, no, I mean, this is a complete reinvention to Nick Saban, and a lot of credit to the way Alabama's been able to rebuild their wide receiver.
They have certainly opened up that offense to a level that not many expected it to do so quickly. And so, with that in mind, you asked me earlier how I feel.
Confidence game. I love this.
Confidence game indeed, because I am very confident.
You are very confident. Okay, so
in general, I think yes, I am confident of myself, yes.
So we have provided Trevor, my amazing friend, an incredible human being, and a great co-host, also a massive Georgia fan. Yes. We've provided him with a handful of emojis on paper that will express some of his feelings because, let's face it, it can be hard to have feelings today.
A varying level of confidence, right? Like from confident to nervous and some spots in between and outside. So I think I best describe myself going into this tilt against Alabama as hopeful.
I like the little finger.
With a side of lemon booty.
If this show has any tag on it, it's the college football show with a side of lemon booty. Like that, yes. That is on it for anyone. If you're just tuning in for the first time, he's Trevor Scales.
I hope people Fitz. Just tuned in just for hopeful with a side of lemon booty.
A few weeks ago, in one of the first episodes, Trevor said, I asked if he was puckered up. That's one of my favorite expressions for any fan base that's a little nervous. And he said, I may have a little case of, I thought he said linen booty, which made me think, like what, you want comfy Charmin or something? Like, yes. What are you doing? Like, you want, and then he said, no, lemon booty. So now lemon booty has become like, if you and I form a band, it'll be called lemon booty.
I don't know how comfortable I am with that.
I mean.
I am also, nope, leave it alone. Let's move to picks for this game. As I described, like I'm not necessarily confident in the Dogs, and that's no slight to them. I just am a cynic fan. I own that, and I accept that. I am picking Bama for the sake of my sanity going into this, and if Georgia wins, then great. I was wrong about Georgia, and I am so happy to be wrong in this instance. Yourself?
All right, so I thought a lot about this one, and I went back and forth on it. But, again, I think this comes down to Georgia's defense being able to disrupt a little bit, enough of the quarterback play at Alabama to keep them just enough off rhythm to keep them uncomfortable. I'm picking Georgia to pull off the upset. I felt a little better about that pick when I thought Saban wasn't going to be on the sideline than I do now, admittedly. Like, knowing that Nick's there makes me a little more uncomfortable. But they put the graphic up, so I'm sticking with it. And besides, it can't go any worse than the rest of my picks have gone today.
You're right. Right, we were going to come up with something called Fade Fitz. Just pick the opposite of whatever he does on a weekly basis.
6-3 coming in today.
Last pick, though, from the control room, the homie Tyler, I believe, chimes in with this one. And Tyler tells us he's going with Alabama. And I'm in full agreement for the obvious reasons. The offense sort of just kind of runs them off eventually. They kind of wear on that Georgia defense that has to be out there for so long.
Yeah, well, I still believe in the mailman, your quarterback. And by the way, I think it's interesting. Tyler was around us all day in the conference room. Never told you that was going to be his pick, did he?
Yeah, no, it's cool. I understand that. I would do the same type of deal.
Wow.
Yeah, but let's pivot just a little bit. Also going down tonight, number 5, North Carolina taking on Florida State. Make sure you check that out, ABC. Log into your cable provider, authenticate, all that fun stuff, and join us as we watch along with you right here on the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. But let's get some boots on the ground. Molly McGrath, live from Florida State.
Molly McGrath here in Tallahassee, and it is the calm before the storm as number 5 North Carolina comes to town. And Mac Brown was really honest with us ahead of this game, telling us, I don't think that we're the number 5 team in the country. We have a lot of things to work on, but he's bringing in a high-powered offense with Sam Howell as their quarterback. And then Carter and Williams, their running back combo is absolutely dynamic. They have been so explosive lately, but they do have some questions defensively. Guys like Storm Duck, their best cornerback, is not going to be available for this game. He's going to be out for the next 6 to 8 weeks with an injury. And that should create some opportunities for a Florida State offense that found their quarterback in Jordan Travis, but they are without their most explosive playmaker in Tamari and Terry. He is out of this game, but he will be on the sidelines. This should be a really good one. You want to watch it. It's at 7:30 on ABC.
Appreciate it very much, Molly. And as we kind of shift our focus to the ACC, Jason, on the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G, we like to get more voices involved. And who better than to join us than one of the voices from the ACC Network, Jordan Cornette, host of ACC Network's The Huddle. You can catch that 10 a.m. to noon Eastern. And as we kind of move into this discussion centering around the primetime matchup between Florida State and North Carolina, Jordan, I want to know, Matt Brown don't think that North Carolina is the number 5 team in the nation, but are they the number 2 team solidly in the ACC?
It'd be easy to say that now, T-Scales. And I say easy because maybe coming into today, seeing, Notre Dame right there at number 4 in the AP poll, North Carolina obviously at 5, but Notre Dame did not look very sharp today against Florida State, a team that North Carolina handled. So I look at where Notre Dame is right now, and I look at where North Carolina can be. And to me, in college football, you want a team that's explosive offensively, a team that can put up a lot of points. North Carolina, slow out of the gates to begin the season, lacked explosion. They showed all that to you last week, but it's really started with their dynamic backfield and having Michael Carter and Javonte Williams. You cannot make this North Carolina offense play left-handed. If you take away the right hand, the left hand is as calm and confident and productive with the run game as the pass game. So they got the total package. Mac Brown is hyped for this game. Don't let him tell you otherwise. His alma mater is Florida State. He's 0-9 in his coaching career versus Florida State. He sees this one as prime for the taking. North Carolina is going to be hot and ready to rock.
All right, so Jordan, you've mentioned the fact that obviously North Carolina and Notre Dame both find themselves in the top 5, and a lot's been made of the ACC having 3 teams in the top 5. But it doesn't feel like, other than Clemson, really any of them belong to me at this point. Is that a statement to the ACC, or is this all going to normalize when, in your mind, when the Big Ten starts playing next week?
I think it could normalize for certain. But one thing I'd have to say that's vastly different, Fitz, from a year ago in this conference is there is true depth. Teams like Boston College and Virginia Tech, who are going to do battle tonight on primetime on ACC Network. We call that a plug. But attaboy.
Championship work right there.
Got to pay the bills, got to keep the lights on. You guys know how it is. Teams like that, Phil Jurkovec showing up for BC, that's added depth because of Jeff Hafley coming in there and how formidable a foe Boston College has become. Justin Fuente, you don't know week to week what you're going to get with their team. They've had a lot of attrition off the field with COVID, but it's a tough team, and they're the most productive offensively in the ACC. Averaging nearly 43 points per game. So as you look at this thing, it's not even just the heavyweights in the top 5 with Notre Dame, North Carolina, and obviously Clemson up top. It's the fact that these middle-of-the-pack teams are vastly different and more improved than from a season ago.
You even look at a team like Pitt, who can pick somebody off randomly because of that defense and how much pressure they tend to get on the quarterback. Even they can
Wait, defense in college football? That's real?
I know.
People play it?
We haven't seen much of it, but I digress. Florida State is another team, is the other half of this matchup. And look, we've been dogging them out, right? Mike Norvell and them haven't gotten off to a good start necessarily. And is that more indicative of Florida State being that down as a program? But when you look at the schedule, 3 top 15 teams, it's not like they've been walking through a cakewalk, essentially.
Hey, T-Scales, that schedule is not going to take a break for them moving forward either, with North Carolina on the docket tonight. Florida State, Mike Norvell, I think people who really know that this is going to be a big undertaking. It's going to take time. It doesn't reflect, poorly on Mike Norvell at all, because it's a vast undertaking. It's going to have to be a rebuild of culture there, get his guys in there. No knock on what's there currently. It's just a simple matter of they're not where they want to be. And when we're asking questions like, is the U back going into Clemson, it shows you how starved these fan bases are for their programs to return to greatness. Florida State, be patient. They've got a long way to go, and I don't think they're going to get any breaks tonight versus that potent North Carolina offense.
Okay, look, this was all very professional and very well handled by Jordan Cornette. But now let's just throw the veil up. Let's get a little peek behind the curtain, all right? For anybody that doesn't know, Jordan and his amazing wife host together. The first time we've ever had a husband-wife team hosting on ESPN Radio on Sundays. You guys host an NFL show. I happened to be listening when there were some comments made by your wife about your age, that maybe you're getting a little up there. So I'm wondering at this point, and which, by the way, you handled with better grace than most of us. Like, at this point, do you keep like a running list? Like, what's Monday morning like in the Cornette household after Sunday trash talking between husband and wife on national radio?
I mean, Fitz, you know how it goes. She can take all the shots she wants, and I just got to take them on the chin, The minute I come back at her, then I'm the one doing the dishes.
You're wrong. You're the one that's wrong. Yes.
I'm the one sleeping on the couch. So
but I was rooting for you. When I heard her go there, I was like, I think I speak for every guy that's been in that situation where you know what you can't say to your wife, where you're sitting there saying, come on, take it, Jordan, take it. You didn't take it.
I just laugh and I do this. This is great.
This man knows how to maintain a marriage. Don't question the mechanics
that's
here.
well played. That's well played.
As we kind of pivot back to the game itself tonight, Jordan, what is your pick for this evening between North Carolina and Florida State?
North Carolina's going to roll. Too many weapons offensively. The defense for Florida State will be overwhelmed very early. This one won't be close very long. North Carolina rolls. Mac Brown gets his first win versus Florida State.
I'm right there with you. I think that offense ends up being way too much. The dual attack at the running back position, and as you said, if you take away that left hand, the right hand just as strong, they're going to be all right.
Let me just say this, though, guys. I still believe in Mike Norvell. I still believe in what Mike Norvell can be as a head coach for Florida State, and I saw what he did at Memphis. I thought it was impressive. With time, I believe he can bring that to Florida State. That won't help them tonight, though. They're going to get absolutely thrashed. Jordan, you know what? For a guy your age, you look pretty good in that suit, dude.
I'll tell you what, man. It is hot in this room. I don't know if I've been in this suit for too long or what. You guys didn't even put me on a hot seat. Maybe I'm just out of shape. But it is hot sitting in this seat.
We'll call it excitement. We appreciate the energy that you bring to the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. That is Jordan Cornette. Make sure you catch him. ACC Network on The Huddle, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern. Appreciate you joining us, big dog.
Thanks, guys. Have a great show.
A&M, Mississippi State putting a bow on this game between these two teams. Kellen Mond, 6-yard score to put them up 28-7. They would go on to beat Mississippi State 28-14. 2 passing touchdowns from Kellen Mond, his third straight game with multiple passing touchdowns.
Let's keep running around here, going a little bit of UCF Memphis. This one, good one. Running back Greg McCray runs for a 1-yard touchdown. UCF on the board first. Up 7-0, but Memphis not going to go away. We know that about them. Memphis quarterback Brady White passes Calvin Austin the third for a 12-yard touchdown. Ties the game at 7-7. Look at that one again. Nice little route. Got himself open. Beautiful throw, too.
Oh, yeah. On the money.
Good window, good throw.
Yes, absolutely.
Big moment there. Second quarter, Dylan Gabriel passes to Jalen Robinson, 43 yards for a touchdown there. The Knights take a 14-7 lead. You know this is going to be a good game. Every year it feels like it delivers on it. This was sort of a blown coverage. I don't know, like the guys just watched him run right by him, so not sure what they were doing there. But
you saw the touchdown. I saw the running back throwing a really good cut block. But
Dylan Gabriel passes here to Marlon Williams, running back homer, 85 yards and a touchdown. This one goes to 21-7. UCF up, but you never start shushing the crowd early. There's still a lot of game to go. Later in the second quarter, Memphis ball. Brady White runs it in for the touchdown. Memphis cuts the deficit to 21-14.
We knew there was going to be so much offense in this, and it paid off.
Oh, yeah. Dylan Gabriel here with a 14-yard run for a touchdown. And just, for fun, they decide they're going to go for 2. I love the celebration there, by the way. Nice little play here. Marlon Williams again.
Great call. Little pick. Little pick. Little pick.
It's a mesh route. Yeah, like mesh route is the way everybody says pick. But legally, yeah, that's what we're trying to go for. We're going to stick in the third quarter here. 8:16 to go. This pass to Cameron Wilson for a 6-yard touchdown. The Tigers then go for 2. Why not get in on fun? Brady White to Taj Washington. That makes it 35-22. In a game you knew was going to be back and forth, and a game that you know was going to hold a ton of points. We now stand at 49-44. We'll keep you updated on this one. 49-44, about $1.19 left in this one. All right, let's go to Mississippi versus Arkansas. Ole Miss, we were talking about, Merle.
Lane Kiffin in the offense, but we talking about Arkansas, Sam Pittman, and them getting rolling early.
I mean, Traylon Burks just says, no, I'm a big truck driver, and I go where I want to go. And I don't know what I was talking about there either. Then, Rakeem Boyd, 1-yard touchdown. Arkansas goes up 7-0.
The end zone paint is very deceptive. I just want to talk. It was like 4 feet back from the goal line, and I was very confused. I'm sorry.
Matt Gurl had a big week last week against Alabama, but this week he threw the score to the wrong team. Arkansas goes up 17-0. Did I mention I was wrong about this game? Good Lord. Felipe Franks to Traylon Burks, 7 yards here. Sorry, 21 yards to Jonathan Mingo. I cut ahead there. Arkansas, their lead at that point cut to 20-14. I went one highlight too fast for you guys.
Bro.
So, this is where we are. It's live TV at its finest. Now we'll get to Felipe Franks. What do you know? Traylon Burks, 7 yards. This one looks right. The Hogs go up 26-14. And Arkansas tried to get a little fancy pants here. Arkansas decided, you know what? The metrics say why not go for 2. By the way, look at this catch. You're right. The end zone is deceptive.
Oh, my. Woo. Is that the glove, Fitz?
Almost. Yeah, it's a little bit the glove. I mean,
Stop hating. Just you. Ooh, it's so difficult for you to just give somebody credit.
If you're going to be that close, too, to tap them both in, you might as well get them both
Fitz.
in. Oh, Arkansas fans are going to be blowing me up right now. They go for 2.
Oh, no.
But Felipe Franks gets sacked. No good. Arkansas up 26-14.
Everybody was running a screen except Felipe.
Oh, and then this one seals the deal. I mean, this was an absolute defensive effort by Arkansas. Did I mention I was wrong about this game? Arkansas, I just love old Arkansas. 33-21. The Razorbacks win this one.
Ooh, Pig Suey, indeed. Liberty and Syracuse Liberty.
Yeah, that's
Surprise.
right, Liberty. We're giving you a Liberty highlight.
Undefeated team looking to go 5-0, and Shiro Lewis is going to do a lot of that for them. 75 yards to the crib. Makes it in there. Easy score to put Liberty on the board. We're tied at 14 here, middle of the second quarter, 2nd down and 1. But once again, Shiro Lewis is going to give you a lot more than just that 1 yard, 52 yards to the crib. I love that the off arm from the ball is just kind of waving out to the side. And they just said, look, bro, we're going to give this to you on a draw.
We're going to let.
What can you do?
I just like little running backs talking about little running backs.
You know what? I'll accept that from you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
So now it is time for the best part of the college football show. Every single week, this is the part that everybody looks forward to. Let's just be honest. It's Fitz's 5. What, was that too much?
A little bit.
That was okay. That was too much. All right, this is where we go in and we rank stuff. They say that we have to rank college football teams. We'll see. But what we do know is that we are essentially glorified children. So as a result, we get a little bit more technology every single week, which can in and of itself be dangerous. But we are adding to it. You don't get your name on it because Fitz's 5 is too awesome the way it is.
Okay.
But we'll let you play along, Trevor. This time, we're going to let Trevor's takes come into Fitz's 5. A lot of alliteration on this show. I don't know what we're doing. Let's throw up the graphic here, show everybody what it looks like. We got Fitz 1 through 5. We got Trevor 1 through 5. So I'm going to rank my top 5 teams.
Please do.
You're going to rank your top 5 teams because we're a little scared. We're just going to talk trash to each other through the whole process of it. Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
The number 1 team in all of the land is very clear to me. That number 1 team, if I can get it to come over here, is going to be Clemson. We'll see if it wants to work, but Clemson is number 1. I'll try and get that to work for a second. Any problems with Clemson at the top of the list?
That's fine.
This is what they call stalling. While I get technology to work. Okay, while I try and get technology to work to give me Clemson at number 1, my number 2 team in all the land, I'll just see if I can get number 2 to go. My number 2 team in all the land is going to be Ohio State. I know they haven't played any games yet, but the fact is, even though they haven't played any games yet, it doesn't matter to me. It still at least looks decent. So we're just going to go on the fly here. So I got that.
Let's just have a discussion. Yes.
Number 3, and again, this takes
imagine with us, if you will.
We've got it back there behind us. Number 3 comes back to the conversation we had earlier today. All right, I'm picking Georgia in the game today.
Okay.
So it's only fair for me to put Georgia at number 3 in all the land, which means for right now, even though I think Georgia's going to lose and this will look different tomorrow, I'm going to put Bama at number 4. Okay, so Alabama goes at number 4. So I got Clemson 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, Alabama 4. Okay. At number 5, this would be my first team out. A team that's trying to get their way in. This was a tough decision for me. Last week I went Jets. I decided they're not even worthy of being in the top 5. At number 5, I'm going to go Penn State. Okay. I'm going Penn State, even though they haven't played a game, because sometimes what you haven't seen is better than what you have when what you have has been a disappointment.
Yeah, I think when it comes to that Fifth team, and really after the top 3, we are kind of just all shooting and throwing darts at a dartboard and hoping they stick. Yeah, nobody really knows.
I mean, I'm not comfortable putting Notre Dame in the top 5. Right. I'm not comfortable based solely on the eye test yet. Putting North Carolina. I am rooting for North Carolina. I would love to see them in the top 5. Again,
love Mac Brown.
I'd love to see 4 teams from one conference. I don't care which conference. Put them all in the playoff, just so every every fan base gets angry about it. So I got, again, Bama, Ohio State, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, Bama is my top 4.
I like
Penn State's my first one out. Who you got in your 5?
I tend to agree with you, at least at the very top, in that Clemson has shown us a level of domination that just does not exist in college football at large. So, yes, Clemson is my top team as well.
Even though, just to be clear.
Please.
As people are already tweeting me, I shouldn't be looking at tweets while I'm doing
the show.
No, you
should, because this is what internet television is.
People are tweeting me, reminding me that Clemson's played no one. I got no problem with that. Like, if you beat the snot out of what you've had at this point and nobody else has looked better.
I say this every year when it comes to teams like Clemson and Alabama. There's something to making people look like nobody. Yeah. You need to understand that. Like, people don't just walk out there looking like nobody. The other team has to make them look like nobody, and that's exactly what Clemson has done, similarly to what Alabama has done for the most part. We talked about their struggles defensively, but even in the second half against Lane Kiffin and them, they were able to pull away and establish a very solid win. So, as of now, Clemson, Alabama in the 2 slot. In the 3 slot, I kind of side with you in that I haven't seen anything from Ohio State, but that's not going to take them out of the top 5 for me either, because I think everybody is going to base this year's assessments on precedent, right? Like, that's all we have essentially to go on, because we won't have the convenience of common opponents and inter-conference play. So, knowing that, they are in my 3 slot. I will get the Dogs in at 4. And as much as it pains me, don't clap that up for me. Not yet. Okay, again, this is pending the results of this evening. They could still get moved up out of there. So they are in the 4 slot. I appreciate the golf clapping. In 5, this one is completely off the board from just about anybody. But again, to your point, how you going to tell me that they haven't done anything to be in the top 5? And that is Oregon, out of the Pac-12. Mario Cristobal and what he does with the line of scrimmage on a consistent basis with the physicality of that roster will always be something to reckon with. And as we've seen from this season, it is a matter of just being able to kind of impose your will offensively. And though they have a massive question mark at the quarterback position, I still think that, you know what, they can make some shake out of what little we know about them.
I thought you might go with the Wisconsin, who still thinks they can make some noise, or Penn State, or even just troll me with like a Cincinnati, like let's get a group of 5. But I don't mind the Oregon pick. Like, I think there is sort of a little, you're right. Like, this is the year where if you are a fan of 95% of the teams in college football and you want to yell at everybody else for not playing defense, this is the year where you just sort of, don't press send on it. Like, there's just no win on it, because virtually nobody plays any defense anymore in college football. For anyone that doesn't know, more points per game being scored right now than ever in the history of college football. Defensive efficiency right now, the worst ever in the history of college football. So you look at the numbers, it's awful. So maybe the Pac-12, maybe they shine through. I like that. Okay, so we had some differences, but I give you like the broken heart emoji, because I feel like, the Georgia thing's just got you.
That's fair. And I get that. I'll give you a 100 emoji, because like I can't disagree with you, and I respect the logic that you use to get there.
Look at all this respect. Let's have a little respect for some great plays.
Yes, I like the sound of that. Let's do just that. Holy cow. Moo cow in the building.
All right, this is where we take you a great play, we show it to you, and then we score it on our scale. Let's start with some Clemson action. Showed it to you earlier, Niles Pinckney. The best part about this isn't the touchdown. It's that. It's that wiggle. It's that waggle. It's that swagger. It's the big boy dance. Like, the only thing better than a big boy touchdown is a big boy touchdown dance. Look at those pants.
I tend to agree. But again, like, he wasn't full big boy, because he went with 44. That's like obscure enough to kind of put you in like big skill category.
I don't know.
You're not owning it with a single digit, so we know you a big boy, and you just rocking the single digit out of swagger. Like, he's somewhere in between there.
Well, the swagger raises the score up to a 77 for me. Otherwise, he just ran in the end zone. Nobody tried to.
I mean, 77 feels weak. But I tend to kind of understand your logic in that it wasn't like he had far to go. But it wasn't nobody stopping him. So
nobody stopped anybody in Clemson today.
Touché. Next play. So our boy, Jared Garantano, we talked about him quite a bit. My man threw back-to-back pick sixes. Got sat down on the bench because of it. First one was Kevin Joseph to put him up 7-0, and then Jamin Davis, another pick six. This one for 85 yards. Got a bunch of help from his defenders. And here's like the tricky part for me when we start to talk about holy cow, because like, what exactly am I scoring? Am I supposed to be giving credit to the defense, or am I supposed to be roasting the offense? Because I don't like Tennessee, I decided to roast the offense. I gave Jared Garantano a 50. Like, he just
I like what you did.
You know what I mean? Like, I just get the chance. I get the chance to I get to assess what I want to assess. And Jared Garantano, that's about a 50.
And a lot of impressive numbers in that game, by the way. Kentucky getting their first win at Tennessee since, a
long damn time.
The 1800s. We'll just go with that. Don't Google it. That's a fact. All right, let's go to the next play on this. And this comes from Bad Bo. Bo Nix didn't have a good, though. He had a good moment. Look at that throw.
Oh.
Look at that catch. Seth Williams with the big catch. He goes up for it. I mean, underthrown ball, but he high points it. They say it's jaw-dropping. I don't know if I go jaw-dropping, but it's good. I mean, You know me, I'm a hard judge on catches, right?
Right.
74.
And you know what? I'll actually give you this one because we saw Seth Williams in week 1 dog somebody out so bad we started the show with it.
Yep.
So I understand the high bar for Seth Williams, and that's fair. I ain't even going to hate on you on that one. Next play, South Carolina. We go back to this tilt, and somebody we haven't really heard much from is Shi Smith, balled out today. I am more impressed with Shi Smith going up and getting this ball than I am with Seth Williams going up and getting the ball. Because, like, smaller frame, this man has to kind of out-athlete a lot of different people on the field. And this quarterback trusts him enough to just say, hey, go get this from me, big dog.
It's a bad jump by the defender.
Okay, it wasn't this time. You're not wrong about that. But, again, I'm here for the sub-6-foot game.
You gave that a 90?
So did.
Oh, well.
That was 2 feet down, bro. Like, 5'10"? 5'10" going up like that, bro?
Yeah, I'm looking up at 5'10". I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, let's see another. Shi Smith was not shy today. God, I'm never going to get tired of doing that. This was the moment. Look at this grab. Words cannot describe it, but I will try. Holy cow. Holy stinking cow. He goes up, might have pulled him down a little bit there, juggles it, goes full juggle, and then gets the ball. There's no glove help from this. This is just pure athleticism. Good, great googly moogly. I'm giving this for the first time all season. I have been holding this in the can, and I've been waiting for it. I've been waiting for the opportunity to find the one play that deserves it. I'm giving this the double moo, the 100, the hundy.
Okay, but like, how can you then hate on me giving the last one a 90? I'm just like,
because
really?
the last one was just a catch. The defender mistimed the jump. All he did was like stand there. And get
I have the hardest time understanding your logic on a lot of different things.
The gloves,
including food takes, like how your subjective nature of assessing when it was the gloves and when it wasn't. Nothing makes sense to me with you.
Just because sprinkles aren't necessary on ice cream doesn't mean you have to be mad at me.
Oh,
Go ahead.
God. Just setting the world on fire. Next play. More subjective takes here on the college football show presented by AT&T 5G. West Virginia's Josh Chandler Cernetto. Kansas running back Velton Gardner. I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry because your quarterback put you in a bad position. But I'm also sorry that you forgot that when you see zone defense, you need to sit your behind down so that you don't run into some mess like that. So I, again, took the liberty to assess the offense instead of the defense on this. 68, because it was just a bad effort on both of those offensive players' behalves.
All right, let's get another catch in here. We love all of these big concentration catches. I don't know why they let me grade these things, because you know he's never going to be happy with it. Kansas, wide receiver Andrew Parchment. Look at that, though. Kept his concentration. Catches the ball after the deflection for the go-ahead touchdown. Look. Oh, nope.
Oh, that's pretty raw. That's pretty raw.
I mean, all he did was catch a ball that was basically flipped right to him. So this is a 74. I mean, it landed in the numbers. Like, it hit him in the breadbasket.
Are you just going to take away the fact that he's running faster than you have ever have moved in your life? Are you just going to take that factor out?
Of course I'm going to take
Why would you take that? How can you not take that into account?
Because that's what he does. Like,
That's insane.
Because small children run faster than I've ever run in my life.
That's not the right. No. Just no. I'm not even feeding into that logic. Just no. Stop that.
Oh, stop that. Trash. Go ahead.
Next play. Maybe you can appreciate this, man. West Virginia's defensive lineman off the tip drill.
Oh, now that's a play. That's a play.
It's a very good play, right?
Look at that. Deflection.
Yes.
He goes full Superman.
Darius Stills, man, laying out. Big man getting the gloves up underneath that ball. And, like, just the sense of awareness, right? He sees ball go up, immediately puts the foot in the dirt, changes the direction, comes back downhill, snags that bad boy. Like, yeah. Celebrate the big fella. I'd give it a 92.
You know what? That's a good score and a deserved score. When you go full Superman as a big boy and you come down with the ball, yes.
But see, you take somebody that's like athletically gifted and give them a 68 for doing the exact same thing. Like your barometer just gets all thrown off with somebody with more athletic ability than you actually does something impressive.
There's a substantial difference between a fat guy diving to catch a football and a wide receiver that's already running fast, having the ball tipped right to his chest and then just carrying it into the end zone.
I'm done with you.
I'm a hard judge.
Just so bad. More bad stuff. Bruh. Like, we just get to get these jokes off at this point after we've celebrated the best of the best from the day. Tennessee, more for you. This is Okay, so as he's trying to get up, and we got to see if this is, I think, you know what, Weaver, I totally get just not even dry snitching. Like, he was caught in the act. He's just like, dog, you can't be doing this like that.
You can't kick a man in the no-no places during a football game.
Yes. That, like, it's just wild out of pocket. Look, Tennessee, I know that you mad that George Pickens Jr. sprayed some water on you last week, but this is not the equivalent that you do in the next week. This is not the type of energy that you need to do. Next play.
Embarrassing.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence. Wide open Davis Allen, 34-yard score. Just, I'm pretty sure the cameraman might have gotten fooled too, but Georgia Tech, you are the very next entry into bruh on this one. Next up, more from Clemson. Young Clemson fan, hyped to see him.
Aw, she's cute.
But yeah, see, that's like my attitude typically when I'm just watching Georgia at the start of the game. Like, I'm not happy just off of base. You can always pick me up, but
that's about how I looked an hour after my beloved Raiders beat the Chiefs last Sunday.
But
just on the, like, it was done, like I couldn't.
Okay, because you just like went so far off the good.
Yeah,
you ended up
off the good.
That's totally fair. This one from last night, bruh, you fair catching there? Have you no spatial awareness? I was taught your heels get anywhere near the 10. Boy, get your behind up out of there. Don't fair catch it at the 1. Next play, turnover bone?
I got a bone to pick with that one.
Oh, there it is.
Like, that's what you were looking for,
Yeah,
right?
I was. Yeah, sure. NC State Wolfpack. So there's the pick. There's the turnover. We go to the sideline. We do the standard celebration and instant gratification. And this is your turnover bone.
Do you get to keep those?
I doubt it. I think that's a thing that, you know, they kind of pop in and out, and you got to give it up after the possession. But either way, are you a fan? Are you rocking with the turnover?
No. Okay. I'm out on the turnover bone. Like,
I think
there's only so many turnover chains and turnover bones and turnover. Like, I just don't. No, I want none of that. I want none of it.
Yeah, no, I think like there's something to be said for just like incentivizing turnovers because it is fun to see. And I
need to be incentivized to go out and turn over the ball?
I'm not saying I need to be. I'm not saying I need to be. But is it not nice to have a nice little chain with over 3,000 sapphires donned around your neck for a little bit? Like, is that not a good thing? No, but like to be able to say and get photographs, right? Because it's all about the gram, right? So if I get a couple pictures off with this around my neck, like, that's good enough. That'll last me a solid 365 days for a profile picture.
I don't know what turnover chains have to do with graham crackers.
No. What?
I was with the graham.
Oh,
that was a stretch.
The worst.
I was really working on that
That was a reach. You just sat there and waited on that.
I did. Like you said, it's all about the gram.
Oh, that's so awful
of you. That's as far as I went. You're welcome.
That's just terrible of you.
Was it?
This is the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. Trevor Scales, Jason Fitz here with you as we kind of continue to wrap up Week 7 in college football, and as we continue to kind of talk about what we've seen from today's events out in the SEC and everywhere else in the ACC, I kind of want to pivot back to one of the discussions that we had with regards to the separation of Clemson and their reign over college football at large, specifically the ACC. And are we going to see any sort of closing of that gap? Is there a potential for closing of that gap with North Carolina if they dominate Florida State this evening?
No. I mean, Clemson's just so much better than everybody else. Clemson's more explosive than everybody else. And even though North Carolina obviously has a great recruiting class, and I believe in Mac Brown, and I believe in Sam Howell, I believe in the pieces that they're putting together, I also look at it every once in a while and say, you know, there is just a base level talent difference.
Right.
So top 10, like 0 to 10 on talent of Clemson versus 0 to 10 on talent of everybody else in the ACC. If we want a gap closed, the gap is going to be between Ohio State and Clemson. The gap's going to be between the winner of Georgia and Bama and Clemson. Clemson's going to run away with the ACC in my mind.
That's totally fair. And as you bring up Georgia, Bama, a lot of the different teams that we're talking about into the top 4, we bring in another top voice of college football. That is one Booger McFarland. We appreciate you joining us here on the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. And Booger, to kind of tee up the same question to you that I teed up to Fitz. Can we possibly see a closing of the gap in the ACC with a strong performance from the Tar Heels this evening?
Well, I don't know if it's just a strong performance. I just think overall Mac Brown is closing the gap. The way they recruited, how they're playing. They got a young quarterback. They can run the football. They got weapons on the outside. They may not be at the level of Clemson just yet, but the gap has closed, not just on the football field, off the field when they recruit and how they recruit.
I will say to Boog's point, like, eventually do they close the gap? Yes. This year do they close the gap? No. But let me ask you, Boog, I got to ask you a bigger question because I need your expertise. As a defensive player, we've been talking about it all day while we were watching games. Defense, for the most part this year, has been trash in college football for everybody. What's wrong across the landscape that defenses are so far behind?
Well, I don't know if it's been trash. I just think if you look at the teams that are playing really good defense, we're used to teams being dominant. The days of being dominant on defense are no longer going to be there. The game has changed on every level, high school, college, pro. The rules have shifted toward the offense. We want offense. Nobody wants to see 9-6 like LSU and Alabama years ago, the game of the century. So all the rules are geared toward the offense. So defenses are at a disadvantage. Offenses are spreading the field 53 1/3 yards wide, and so you have to defend so much more of the field. I think we're just getting blinded because we're used to seeing so much dominant defense, and now a good defensive performance is really going to be, can you give me that stop when I need it? I think if you watch the Alabama-Georgia game tonight, Georgia's really, really good. They're not going to hold Alabama to anything less than probably 20, 21 points, and that'll be a really, really good effort because of how the game has changed. It's really a one-on-one game. Think the Golden State Warriors. It's fast break up and down. I'm going to shoot as many threes as I can. In football, I'm going to just throw as many passes as I can, and at some point, you're going to miss a tackle and it's a touchdown.
So with that being said, Boog, should we then reassess the way that we talk about, like, Big 12 defense and Pac-12? Like,
No. Stop right there. Big 12 defense has been trash for years. Pac-12 defense is a little better. I think when you look at defense overall, though, look at the teams that are going to play really good defense. I'll give you an example. Georgia's defense is really good. Oklahoma State's defense has been really, really good this year because they compete. They make you earn every yard. Just watch the teams that hustle, that hit, that are always raking at the football. They make you drive the length of the field. I don't like teams that just give up 80-yard touchdowns. That's easy. It's very, very difficult to go 12 plays, 15 plays, 10 plays. Those are the better defenses. And I see only a couple doing that right now. Arkansas, Barry Odom has done an outstanding job up there in Fayetteville. Georgia, Oklahoma State, those are just a few of the teams. And I got a feeling next weekend when whatever their name is, Ohio State comes back, they're going to play really good defense because they're super talented. And the Big Ten offensively is not as talented outside of Ohio State as some of these other conferences are.
I think one of the things that Spencer Hall, one of our writers, mentioned is that being able to just tackle in the offseason played a large part in, like, defenses being ready to go at the start of the season. There may be some catch-up factor towards the end of this bad watch where we see defenses settle in and be able to just get used to clapping the pads a little bit more. But I want to kind of pivot to tonight's matchup between Georgia and Alabama specifically. What exactly do you think is the key to sort of Georgia pulling off an upset in what many think will be an offensive wearing down, rather, from the Alabama Crimson Tide?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're talking about the number 2 and 3 teams in the country. Are we really going to look at it as an upset? I mean, Georgia has been dominant defensively. We just don't know anything about their quarterback, so we say it's an upset. That's just how we view it. Their offense isn't good, so if they win, it's an upset. It's the number 3 team in the country. So if they're going to win, their defense is going to be outstanding, and they're going to get some explosive plays in the pass game. But I wouldn't be surprised if they win. Like, this is not going to really be an upset either way. We think of it because of Mac Jones and Alabama and the mystique and everything that's going on. Look at every time that these two teams have played, the national championship game and the SEC title game. When these two teams have gotten on the field, it's been a one-score game that came down to the last 2 minutes, and I expect nothing different tonight.
So, stressful is what I can expect as a Dogs fan.
Absolutely. It's going to be a lot of stress.
Sounds good. We appreciate you joining us here on the College Football Show. Booger McFarland, man. Have a good one.
Booger, you're the best, brother.
We continue on here on the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. We appreciate you joining us here on Twitter, YouTube Live, Facebook, and the ESPN app. Trevor Scales, Jason Fitz closing this bad boy out. And how do you feel about going into tonight's matchup between these two? What do you expect to see off rip?
Honestly, I expect to see an epic game.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a moment of what Booger just talked about with Mac Jones. We just take for granted that Mac Jones is going to come in and be the guy.
Right.
We got to see it. In a game like this, we've got to see. And I'm really interested to see what sort of a bounce back we get from Bama after an inexcusable effort last week. I mean, there's no way, if you are a Bama fan, if you're Nick Saban, if you're anybody within that program, there's no way that last week's effort is acceptable. In the meantime, let's look live at this game going on right now that we've been talking about for the ACC. North Carolina taking on Florida State. Florida State with the ball here, Trev, and Florida State up early, 7-0 in this.
I think it's something to what Molly McGrath spoke to. They've settled into their quarterback position. Like that, getting that locked up in and of itself is important for this Florida State offense. We'll see if they can kind of take advantage of the injuries defensively for North Carolina, if they can make a couple drives happen.
Well, and I said it earlier when we were talking to Jordan Cornette, I believe in Mike Norvell as a coach. And part of the reason I believe in Mike Norvell as a coach is at Memphis, he completely rebuilt his offense depending on what skill players he had around him. That ability to rebuild your skills is, I think, significant. So we do have to look at it at some point and say, well, this team is trying to learn Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell is also trying to learn this
without
team.
question.
So I expect Florida State to get better as the year goes on because I believe that Norvell can be very good. But North Carolina needs to get this. They need to get rolling because they need this win, and they need, I think, a big win in this one.
They've got to hold the penalties to a minimum. That's one big thing that's led to their demise more often than not. But bit of an anniversary that we should celebrate.
Yes!
And it's just one of the greatest moments for one Big Ten team.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game. Unbelievable.
Fitz, you mentioned a swift kick to the no-no place. That was one parting shot to the Michigan Wolverine fan base, and I am sorry. I am so sorry.
But at the same time, a moment of glory for all Michigan State fans. I think that is sort of a summary of the best and worst of college football all in one. But do you have one play that stands? Oh,
no, we're not doing this. We're not going to sit here and get me in my feels right before kickoff. No. What we're going to do is tell you about the other college football programming that we have for you on Saturdays right here on Twitter, YouTube, Live, Facebook, and the ESPN app. That includes Countdown to Game Day, hosted by Jason Fitz and Christine Williamson. The college football show, 7 to 8 Eastern every Saturday, and we close things out with the wrap-up 11 to 11:30 p.m. Eastern on all those apps and screens that you see down below. This has been fun. We appreciate you joining us. We hope to see you next week. Same time, same place, same type of material. This has been the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. Woohoo!